So following on from my fun major triad workout video that I did fairly recently, I've put together a vaguely musical and yes, fun exercise for you to work on your minor triad shapes. So before we go any further, let's take a listen. So what I tried to do there is to cram in all of the triad shapes and inversions across all of the string sets into one piece. And I think this is going to be a really good way for you to get familiar with those minor triad shapes. Now, I've spoken before about the importance of knowing your triads, and for me they really are one of the keys to unlocking and really understanding the fretboard, and they're also musically incredibly useful. They crop up all the time in songs, and you can use them in soloing, you can use them to come up with cool rhythm guitar parts. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about the theory. I'm going to explain how these triad shapes are laid out on the fretboard. Then I'm going to take you through the piece itself, and if you want to play along to my backing track, then I'm going to make that available completely free on my website. Now, if you've not already seen my marvellous major triad workout video, then that might be a good place for you to start if you're not familiar with some of these concepts already, but I'm going to give you a quick recap of the theory now anyway. So a triad, basically a three-note grouping or three-note chord, and usually made up of the root, the third and the fifth. So if we want a C major triad, then you just take the first, third and fifth notes from a C major scale. That will give you C, E and G. And on the guitar you can lay this stuff out in a number of different ways, but one way of playing a C major triad would be this. We've got a C, we've got an E and a G. So this is 5th fret on the G, 5th fret on the B, 3rd fret on the high E. That's our C major triad. Now, if you want a minor triad, you only have to change one note. The difference between major and minor triad is the third, and in a minor triad we want a flat third. So what that means is instead of playing an E, we need to go down one fret and play an E flat. So C, E flat, G, we've now got a minor triad. That's frets 5, 4 and 3 on the G, B, D strings. That's our C minor triad. And what we can then do is we can find these same notes in some different places on the fretboard. Now if we move along the same string set, the same set of 3 strings, and find those same notes in the next possible area of the fretboard, then you would arrive at this shape. So we've got the same notes, but now the order is changed, so we're inverting this triad. So we've actually got E flat, G and C, and this is up at the 8th fret. So in terms of the function of those notes, we've now got the third or the flat third on the bottom, we've got the 5th in the middle, and we've got the root note on top now. So that's what's known as our first inversion C minor triad. And then we can do this once again and find those same 3 notes in the next possible area of the fretboard, and we arrive at this shape. So we've now got 12 on the G, 13 on the B and 11 on the high E. We've got the notes G, C, E flat, and once again the notes have switched order and the function of the notes has now changed. So we've got now the 5th as the lowest note, we've got the root here on the B string, and then we've got that flat third at the 11th fret on the high E string. So it's another inversion of our basic triad shape, and this is what's known as the second inversion. That's when the 5th is the lowest note in the triad shape. First inversion is when you've got the third as the lowest note in the triad shape. So we've got these 3 shapes: root position, first inversion and second inversion. And it's really important you get familiar with these shapes. And I said this in the major triad workout video. It's really important to understand what's going on here rather than just have these finger shapes. So firstly, I think it's really important to know where the root notes are in each of these shapes, because that's what's going to enable you to move these around the fretboard and to find them in different keys. So in this root position shape, the root is there on the G string here. The root is on the high E string, and in this shape the root is in the middle on the B string. So really important to memorize where those root notes are. And if you're a slightly more advanced player, then I think it's really good to know the function of all of the notes in these triad shapes. So know which note is the third, which is the fifth. Also to know the actual names of the notes in different keys, and importantly to know the sound of these triads as well. So to be able to sing a major triad in its different inversions, that ear training work is also super important. So those are the basic shapes that we're going to be dealing with. Now I'm going to leave it up to you to try and find those triad shapes on the remaining sets of 3 strings. We've got the triads on the B, G, D, on the G, D, A, and on the D, A, E strings. And the theory stuff is going to be exactly the same. The actual finger shapes are going to be slightly different just because of the rather quirky way that the guitar is tuned. But see if you can go ahead and find those yourself. You can find those C root notes and then find the thirds, find the fifth as well. If you know your major triads, then it's going to be a case of just flattening the thirds to make them all minor. So that's quite enough of the theory stuff. Let's get practical, and I'm going to take you through how to play my little exercise. We are in the key of A minor for this piece, and we're using 3 triads, the 1, 4 and 5 triads in this key. So we've got A minor is the 1, D minor is the 4, E minor is the 5. And we're starting on the lowest string set with this root position A minor triad. So we've got the notes A, C, E, and the frets 5, 3 and 2. We're just playing those notes from low to high. And I like to use a down, down, up motion with the pick. And then we're moving along the neck up to the next inversion. So this is A minor in the first inversion. The notes have changed order. We've now got C, E, A, and the fret number's 8, 7, 7. Again, just picking those from low to high. And then we move up one more time to A minor in the second inversion. We've now got E, A, C, and in terms of fret numbers that's 12, 12 and 10. And with this triad I'm playing the string 6, 5, 4 and then back to 5 again. So if I put all of that together, we have just want to try and smoothly shift between those 3 shapes. Rhythmically, I'm trying to give it a little bit of interest by throwing in a bit of syncopation so that the rhythm is like this. It's 2, 3, 4. So we're playing the first triad shape on beat 1. With the second triad shape, we're just coming in just after beat 2, so on the first 16th, or rather the second 16th note of beat 2, so it's 2, E and A. And then the next triad shape we're playing on beat 4, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last note is just hanging over into the next bar. So that's the basic idea. Now all we're going to do is we're going to take these triad shapes through a chord progression and up through the different string sets. So we've got 2 bars worth of A minor. We're changing to the 4 chord, which is D minor, and we're playing this. So this is exactly the same shapes we just played in A minor, moved over to the next string set. And we're actually now descending, so we're going to the nearest available D minor triad shape, which is this one. This is frets 12, 12, 10. The second inversion, then we're moving down to the first inversion, 8, 7, 7, and then we're moving down to the root position, which is frets 5, 3 and 2. Notes in the D minor triad, incidentally, are D, F and A. So rhythmically that's exactly the same. Next, the harmony is moving to E minor. This is the 5 chord, and again we're moving down to the next string set. So I'm finding the nearest available E minor triad shape, and that is this one here. So notes in an E minor triad are E, G, B, and here we've got the notes G, B, E, so it's the third or the flat third in the bass. So this is a first inversion triad shape, and fret numbers here 5, 4, 5, and we're moving up the neck again to the next shape. So this is second inversion. We've got frets 9, 9, 8, and then up to root position, which is frets 14, 12 and 12. So we've got same rhythm. Then finally we're over onto the top string set. The harmony goes back to A minor, and we're descending once again. So we start with this A minor triad shape, 14, 13, 12. Then we move lower to the second inversion. This is 9, 10, 8. And then first inversion is 5th fret on all of those strings. So and I think just to resolve it, I'm just playing the high A note twice on that triad shape. So that's the first half of the piece. We've got ascending A minor, then we're descending with D minor, and then we're ascending with E minor, and then top string set we're descending on A minor. So you can see we're kind of zigzagging up and down the fretboard. We're going up, switch to the next string set, down, switch to the next string set, up, switch to the next string set and down. Now in the second half of the piece we're working our way back down again. So the harmony is exactly the same, and most of these triad shapes are the same as well. So starting on A minor where we left off, and we're going to go so the same triad shapes there, but we're ascending. Then we're switching to the next string set but going lower, and we're coming down the neck that way. So we want D minor, and the nearest triad shape is this one here. So it's 12, 10, 10. Then coming down 7, 7, 6, and ending up on the first inversion shape. This is 3, 2, 3. So then moving to the next string set, and the harmony is now going to the 5 chord E minor, so I can find that here. This is root position 7, 5, 4. Then moving up through the inversions, and then we're back home to A minor on the lowest string set, and I'm going to start here with this second inversion shape, and then down, and ending on the root. So that's the second half of the piece, starting with A minor on the top string set, going up, then switching to D minor, coming down, switch string set, it's E minor, going up, and then lowest string set A minor, coming down. So I'm going to whack on some chorus and delay, and I'm going to play through the whole piece for you nice and slowly. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me briefly take you through the gear that I'm using today. Guitar is my Jazzmaster. It's an American 65 vintage Jazzmaster. Amp is a Vox AC30, and I'm going for kind of an 80s post-punk kind of tone today, I think. So I was using a handful of pedals. Overdrive is coming from my J Rocket Archer. I've got some chorus from my old Boss CE2. And then I've got some delay from an MXR carbon copy. So that's it for this week's video. As I said, the backing track will be available for free on my website. I'm going to put a little link to that down below. And if you want music and tab, that's going to be up on my Patreon page. So check that out should you wish. Thanks very much for watching. I shall see you next week. Bye-bye.